I covered this yesterday, but it's important enough to cover again.
We are once again being met with more examples of the Labour government being a fascist authoritarian regime that wants to stamp out any and all opposition, not only from us being able to hear about it, but also just them existing in the first place. It's so clear that they are constantly instating policy after policy, law after law, to strip us of our freedoms, our liberties, our rights. They're flooding their nation with migrants to vote Labour. They're spying on your messages. And now they are
doing all of that.
Actually going after YouTube so that only certain government-approved channels can be recommended to British citizens. Because that's what's happening here, right there. The UK government is running a public consultation called Watch This Space, a new strategic direction for UK media. The proposals include mandatory changes to how content is discovered on YouTube. This could direct audiences away from your channel. As a UK creator, this directly impacts your future. Digital content discovery works.
And since I've done a fair number of videos on the UK, this will impact me too.
Best when driven by user choice, not legal requirements. This is a vital window for you to share your perspective before the consultation closes on the 31st of August, 2026. Impact of the proposed rules. The proposed new rules include a mandatory prominence regime. This could require digital platforms like YouTube to prioritize and give privileged position to traditional broadcasters like the BBC, ITV, and Channel 4 in user interfaces and recommendation feeds. So that's mainstream media.
So basically recommended videos that you have underneath on YouTube web page, and at the end of videos, that'll be BBC will be promoted and other government sources above independent content creators like Jake or myself. Which is terrible because BBC is terrible.
Media. What the UK is proposing here is that YouTube is obliged legally to prioritize mainstream media television outlets like the BBC, ITV, and Channel 4 and remove independent voices like my own from search results for people in the UK. And I do have a relatively considerable following in the UK. Not anywhere close to my American following, but still a lot. Mandating prominence to traditional institutions will impact all other independent digital creators, production companies, and media COS, including through your content downranked. Pushing this group forward means pushing everyone else down. Mandatory prioritization of broadcasters would affect how your content reaches your audience, regardless of what your audience actually wants to see. Potentially what could happen is the UK government deprioritizing my channel because I'm a dissenter. I am disparaging the UK government, therefore I would be put down and I would be replaced instead by mainstream media, which is leftist, Labour-led propaganda, which is full of lies and omitted information. That could potentially affect my...
If this does pass, I would recommend something like this. Channel blocker. See, and I'm going to add it myself right now. And like that, you just block BBC and all the sources that the UK government wants to recommend. And then even if this passes, at least your YouTube feed won't be affected.
My reach everywhere else because my usual channels aren't being received. They're not being consumed. So it's going to affect how the rest of the world then views my content. Reducing user exposure to diverse content and independent creators. So YouTube has already expressed the fact that they hate this. I don't know how the UK has managed to strong arm YouTube into doing this. I have no idea. The UK somehow was able to crack Apple. Apple buckled the Labour government. I don't know how, but they did.
UK is still a major government in the first world country and can exert a lot of pressure. And yeah, there's probably people that are ideologically sympathetic to Labour and its desire to control the narrative about immigration.
Dahmer went up and he ordered access into Apple's iMessenger so that he could bypass the encryption and he could read people's messages. For some reason, Apple were like, yeah, okay, I guess
that's
you can
terrible.
Do that. So how YouTube is now also being strong-armed into doing this is fucking insane. Reducing user exposure to diverse content, independent creators. Mandating prominence for established media networks would push the UK's diverse mix of independent journalists, educators, and digital-first businesses down the line. Threat to reach and channel growth. Your ability to organically grow your community, generate views, revenue, and build a sustainable business is compromised if your content is hard to be discovered. Undermining the creator-audience bond. The consultation
By the way, this channel blocker thing, it might work for like people who watch this video and think of it, but let's say for people that are not in the know in what's going on with migrant crime and whatever, this is a great way for the UK government to keep it that way. To not have some innocent person stumble on to the truth about what's going on with migrant crime and turn against Labour. Yeah, that's exactly what they want. They want to keep the spread of information. You know how the right wing is growing across Europe? This is an attempt to slow that down.
Repeatedly emphasizes trust in the context of legacy broadcasters, implying that digital-first voices are less credible, damaging the foundational trust that sustains the creator economy. It is so obvious what Labour government is doing that I can't believe the rest of the UK has not figured this out, because they actually haven't. It's so clear what they're doing. Keir Starmer flooding one of our historical buildings with Muslims to hold some sort of Muslim call to prayer, some sort of Muslim rite or practice or custom, saying that if the British public don't like it, they can leave. And they did. There are tons of expats leaving the UK. People in the UK are emigrating out of their own countries, like Wales and England and Scotland. Like, they're leaving. They're leaving the UK because it's absolutely...
Germany too. Remember that video we watched a couple of weeks ago about this guy, why he was leaving Germany? He gave all the reasons. It's happening across Europe. So not only do you have Europe being flooded with migrants, you have people fleeing. And so that's accelerating the great replacement.
Savage land here. It's barbaric. And we've got this increase in crime, this migrant crime that mainstream media seems to have absolutely no interest in reporting on whatsoever. You've got Keir Starmer, who doesn't give a he doesn't care. Didn't care about Henry Novak. Didn't care about Stephen Ogilvy. Didn't care about any of these other victims. Didn't give a shit about Irina Zarutska. He doesn't give a fuck. And it's so clear that he doesn't give a fuck. And then behind the scenes, whenever he's not completely ignoring all of these atrocities that are happening across the UK, like the gangs, he's instating policies like this, where he's going into your social media, he's demanding digital IDs become mandatory, so he knows who you are, what you're currently doing, what you're up to, what you've been saying, who you're talking to, what you're talking to them about, what kind of stuff that you're viewing over on YouTube. Make sure
you dare say the truth on a social media? Off to prison with you.
Or you get his news, you get his information, the information that he wants you to hear, and that you're a...
Yeah, information is key, not the facts. No, this is just the bullshit made up by BBC that he wants you to hear.
Not hearing information from people he does not like. This is why he went after X. He went after Twitter because the truth is on there. He went after X because he constantly gets bodied on there. He is perpetually reminded that he's a liar! Everybody gets to see that he's full of shit. So he went after Twitter, and he still is trying to get Twitter. He's gone after YouTube. He's gone after social media.
If Trump hadn't won, it would be far easier for them to do this, for EU and EU governments to go after X and other free platforms. They had a friendly government, friendly presidential executive branch in the United States. Yeah, I don't think X would be free anymore by this time.
In general, what would the nudge units and the behavioral insights team prevent going out to law-abiding British citizens and
it's funny that UK basically has a Ministry of Truth now. This nudge information unit.
Arresting them for tweeting things about immigration. Whenever white people and British people get upset about yet another white person being murdered or gang raped, and we're protesting about it, he starts to get upset that it might disrupt the diversity that we have. Keir Starmer is a dictator. The Labour Party is an authoritarian party. They don't want opposition. They don't want what's best for the country. They don't give a They don't care about Britain. They don't give a shit. What they want is to be in perpetual power at all times. Unlimited money, taxpayer money, all
graft
time. They're never challenged. They're never questioned. They're in constant
The deep state control media supports them, supports the migrant agenda across the West. And they are part of that.
Total dominance of every borough in the UK for all eternity. He is a tyrant. He is a dictator. The Labour Party, which is a leftist government, by the way. It started off as liberal, and now it's a far left. It's a leftist government. And according to all these goths on the internet, I'm supposed to be leftist so that I can be goth, because goth fights the establishment. Listen up, the UK has a leftist dictator in charge. That is the establishment. I'm supposed to like this? Wake the fuck up, you... They are the establishment.
Hello? Agreed.
Is anything going on up there? Or are you just listening to all this mainstream media propaganda, you stupid idiots? These stupid
Yes.
pro-Palestine communist that are like, you have to be leftist in order to be goth. No, you don't. Look at the UK. They're trying to censor you, put you in prison for things you say online. They're trying to curate what you're exposed to on YouTube. They're trying to get in the way of your free speech. They're trying to take things from you. They are the establishment. They are instating policies and laws to make sure they remain the establishment. We're going to find out exactly when they're planning to instate this. The UK government is currently consulting these proposals, but has not set a firm implementation date for any changes. The Watch This Space, a new strategic direction for the UK Green Paper, published on 23rd of June 2026, proposes requiring platforms like YouTube to give greater algorithmic/search prominence to public service broadcasters like...
By the way, YouTube already does this. If you do a search on a news story, it already props up mainstream media outlets over independent content creators. Like you search, example, Iran war. So search Iran war. Oh, Young Turks. Okay, that's good. Fox News. Or how about Ukraine? Frontline, Military Blue. Smaller content creators covering the Iran war have higher view counts than this, yet they're not recommended. It's annoying, frankly.
Channel 4, etc. And trusted news sources over independent or other content. The public consultation runs until midnight on the 31st of August 2026. Responses will help shape potential legislation. No, it won't. They're not going to listen. They're not going to listen to what they know the public don't want that. We're getting closer to that corner that
They're doing a digital ID, although they know their people are overwhelmingly against it. They're letting migrants in, although the public is overwhelmingly against it. It's they know what the public want, and they're doing the opposite. That's democracy in the West for you.
People are quite familiar with. You know when you push white people into a corner and they historically have gone insane? Yeah, we're getting closer and closer to that corner, the proverbial corner. They're not going to listen to responses from the public about this legislation. And if you think that they are, then I want you to consider...
It's funny. The two countries, I think, in the world that the government is most aligned with the people might be Russia and Iran. You just look at the funeral and how many millions of mourners came out for the Ayatollah. And they have democracy there, and Putin with like 80% support in polls. I really shouldn't say that about Iran. I'd know less about that, but Russia is what the West should be. A government that listens to its people, that is its leader. He's like, Putin is like twice as popular as Keir Starmer. More than twice as popular as Keir Starmer. Isn't that insane? And then the West pretends that Russia isn't democratic.
Exactly what happened with the digital ID, the mandatory digital ID that Keir Starmer was talking about. At first, the British public said, we don't want that. We don't want that. We're not going to do that. Don't do it. And then he said...
They do it anyway.
Well, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to put a curfew on 16 and 17-year-olds from using social media. And people went, well, I don't like the sound of that either. And then they all got a survey sent out, a questionnaire, to ask the British public whether or not they supported the idea of putting a curfew for teenagers for using social media. There was no option to say no. So they went ahead and they
No option to say no. Yeah, fuck the globalists.
He implemented it, and Keir Starmer got to frame it in a way that looks real good. I am making sure that none of the teenagers are exposed to radicalized extremist content on the internet. We are protecting teenagers.
No, they can just be exposed to radical violence in real life. That's all. Bringing in a lot of violence. I'm importing so much violence for them to deal with in real life. But don't worry, they won't. Even if they are subjected to that violence, they won't be able to tell anyone about it on social media. That's Keir Starmer for you.
From being exposed and radicalized from content on the... Oh, he's thinking of the kids, except...
Yeah. He doesn't want the kids spilling the beans to what's happening to them.
How do we figure out again that I'm not a 16 or 17-year-old? How do we figure that out? That's right. You have to ID everybody. That sounds a lot like digital ID. Oh, it is? It is exactly what digital ID was? Fantastic. Got his way anyway. The public consultation runs until 11:59 p.m. on 31st of August. Any actual rules, e.g. mandatory prominence and recommendations or searches, will follow later. Government statements indicate further work, industry engagement, and research in the coming months with possible legislation in a future media bill. No switch to enforcement is planned before late 2026 at the earliest. This is framed by the government as protecting trusted content and countering misinformation, while critics, including YouTube, warnings to creators see
If you listen to BBC, you're listening to misinformation.
it as favoring mainstream state-linked media at the expense of diverse independent voices. This is framed by the government as protecting trusted content and countering misinformation. Yeah, because misinformation's done such a terrible, such a bad number on the UK, isn't it? Like, oh my God, Labour is just struggling against all this misinformation. Labour just can't seem to
Reality. Yeah, a migrant tried to behead someone the other week. That's misinformation. People believe that migrants might be violent. No, misinformation.
fight this constant, unending misinformation. Need I remind you that Keir Starmer is repeatedly, consistently, and chronically community noted on X for lying all the time? Did you know this wants to fight misinformation when he himself is community noted on X for lying? How many times has Keir Starmer been community noted on X? Let's have a look here. Let's see how many times it was. 29 times. Keir Starmer has been community noted nearly 30 times based on people that were tracking his tweets. Jesus Christ. And this wants to crack down on misinformation. Is that the problem that Labour has been having, is misinformation? Are these survivors,
It's nearly as many times as Trump has made a deal with Iran. Because Trump has made a deal with Iran 39, 40 times now, where he announces in the media there's a deal. At the end, the 40th time, it turned out to be true. There was an MOU that sort of not holding, and it's not a final agreement, but so it was partially true on the 40th time.
gang survivors, misinformation? Are they lying? Are they wrong? What about the crime statistics that shows non-whites attacking whites at ridiculously high volume? Is that misinformation? We're just reading statistics from our own government website.
They know the entire establishment is going to protect them. Is going to, they know they can hit a white guy, and then it's the white guy that gets tackled and arrested by the cop, just like we saw the other day. When you have that type of environment, yes, the migrants might be violent to begin with, but if they know they can act with impunity, and it's always the white person that's going to be arrested and prosecuted, it provokes them to be even more violent.
Has there not been many Islamist extremists, terrorists that have been given asylum here in the UK? Has that or has that not happened? None of anything we've been talking about was misinformation. Labour's problem is not misinformation. Labour's problem, the reason why Keir Starmer is cracking down on social media, the reason why Labour is trying to crack down on dissenters, it's because they're speaking the truth. They're scared of the truth. You've got places like the BBC channel,
terrified of the
TV
truth.
News, referring to Axel Rudikabana, the black...
Keir Starmer is the one that sent out 13,000 warning letters instead of prosecuting sexual harassment and rapes in London. There was a full accounting of people that deserve to go to jail. Keir Starmer's definitely one of them, considering the wrongs he's committed.
Guy that stabbed white kids as a Welsh choir boy. How many times have they referred to a non-white as a British man purely on the technicality that he had a British passport? They are the ones that perpetuate misinformation. They constantly refuse to report on migrant crimes that they can't spin to sound like they're the good guys and we're the bad ones. We deserve it.
Yes, BBC, the entire BBC establishment is in overdrive to every single story spin it an anti-white spin, anti-British spin. Migrants good, British bad. Hate yourself, white British person. You need to hate yourself because you're evil. Ignore the migrants killing you.
according to mainstream media, never happened. Not real. Not a real inquiry. Not the groundbreaking revelation you think it is. Yeah, lacks credible sources. Are you going to fund credible sources to get to the bottom of what the actual information is here? No, we're not going to do that. Well, if these aren't credible sources, but there definitely seems to be a problem here, do you want to fund an official source? You don't want to do that? Why not? I'm curious. So mainstream media, according to the government, is trusted, which means it is specifically curated by them. This is just Orwellian. This is disgusting. There have been political commentators and political philosophers out there, and writers, authors, who have warned about this kind of thing repeatedly. And here we are. People in the UK are losing yet more of their freedom, and just nothing seems to be happening, does it? Now, what is this public consultation that they're referring to? Because it just says public consultation.
At least all across Europe and the United States, more awareness is being spread despite all their efforts. And all these governments across Europe, all these globalists are on the verge of falling. It won't be long before a big one falls, but won't be long, could be a year or two.
Runs until 12 a.m. on the 31st of August 2026. The public consultation is called Watch This Space, a new strategic direction for UK media, which sounds like a TV show. It is actually a government website that you can go to. This is it here. Watch This Space, a new strategic direction for UK media. At its best, our media provides the basis of a cohesive country and a healthy democracy. They're talking about preserving labor dominance and diversity. It provides a base of shared understanding that is common ground in which the country is built. Right. If it was built on this, then why change it? The Department for Culture, Media and Sport is consulting on a comprehensive set of proposals to ensure our media and television in particular can continue to play its vitally important role in our society and democracy. This is maddeningly neutral. This includes interventions to support an informed society, for example, requiring social media to make trustworthy news providers listen to the way they're talking. Listen to how they're talking here. This includes interventions to support an informed society. For example, requiring social media to make trustworthy news providers, which could include national and local news publishers, broadcasters, easily discoverable. Measures to ensure audiences can continue to enjoy universal access to trusted and high-quality television content. This includes setting out the next steps of our future of TV distribution project, how we can support our public service media providers, BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, STV, and S4C, which is Welsh. We sit at the heart of our domestic TV ecosystem, driving growth and inward investment. Curious, it's weird that they didn't mention that they were going to be manipulating YouTube algorithms in order to make this happen. It's weird they didn't mention.
That's not curious. You usually hide the nefarious stuff.
That here. We encourage everyone with a view on these reforms to answer as many consultation questions as they feel comfortable with. Please respond via the online platform if you're able to. Using the online survey will assist our analysis of the responses, enabling more efficient and effective consideration.
You're a UK citizen. I know it's a pain, but I would go and, even if it's a short message, say, don't mess with YouTube algorithms. Please, thank you. Even though you could do a long message if you want, but at least do a short message and make your voice be heard. It does matter. It does make it more awkward for them when they try to move forwards with this stuff.
The issues raised. I don't understand this. Here's what I don't get about this. Let me read through this again, because I really do want to see if I can fully comprehend exactly what it is they're worried about, because what they're saying is a problem shouldn't be a problem by the very nature of its distribution. It provides a base of shared understanding, and is this common ground on which a country is built. Okay, so it's built upon the current liberties that people have with their social media use, right? That's what the country's built upon. That's what they just said. But they're trying to change it. Interventions to support an informed society. I'm pretty sure we actually already have an informed society. That's why we have both mainstream media and independent voices. People are pretty informed. For example, requiring social media to make trustworthy news providers, which could include national and local news publishers and broadcasters, easily discoverable. They are easily discoverable. It's mainstream media. People know what they are and where to find them. The problem is people actually don't. They don't want to. They don't.
BBC viewership. Let's have a look at it. Yeah, see this? Points on the graph, like Asmund always say, and they're heading downwards, way down. Look at that. And after COVID, a plunge.
Don't want to find mainstream media. They know they're being lied to. So what you're doing is you're acknowledging the fact that less and less people are choosing to get their information from labor propaganda distributors and instead go towards people like myself who report on things that mainstream media won't report on. For example, mainstream media has not reported on the Red Gang inquiry. So people won't know about the Red Gang scandal because mainstream media hasn't reported about it. Or the flood of migrant crime. Or the 1,250 migrants that are being housed in an RAF encampment near a small...
Yep, all of this, it's so nice being on the same page as big content creators. Back when I was blogging and my first stint as a content creator, yeah, it was a wilderness out there. There are articles in Zero Hedge about all this stuff, but at that time, Zero Hedge was a tiny website. Today, Zero Hedge has a White House correspondent. That's how far Zero Hedge has come. It's amazing. I was featured on Zero Hedge several times in the past.
Small town in the UK. No one's talking about it. Mainstream media won't cover it. How's that informed? How is that informed? Measures to ensure audiences can continue to enjoy universal access to trusted and high-quality television content. I'm not on TV. BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, STV, and S4C are all currently channels on the television that you can watch. Okay? I'm not taking time slots away from Channel 4. People aren't switching on their TVs and going to Channel 4 and oops, it's Jake Monroe. People can still get that. Measures to ensure audiences can continue to enjoy universal access to trusted high-quality television content. They can still do that. How we can support our public service media providers, the BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, STV, and S4C, who sit at the heart of our domestic TV ecosystem, driving growth and inward investment. As far as I know...
I'd hate to live in the UK and have to pay for BBC.
The BBC has been hemorrhaging money because less and less people want to pay for their TV license. So people don't want to support these things. So you're going to force them, and you've set this out, this consultation for the public to see how they feel about it. You're seeing a trend of the British public not trusting mainstream media anymore and instead are gravitating...
A mistrust that has been earned, duly earned with time.
Towards independent voices like my own and many others who are reporting on things that mainstream media won't report on. And you're curious to see if people don't like this idea? Instead of supporting this or even doing...
There's still so much misinformation the media has spread over the decades that needs to be corrected. Eventually hope to do my part.
Better. Yeah, we're not going to do better with these channels. Yeah, we're not going to make BBC far more transparent. We're not going to make the ITV and Channel 4 and Channel 5 far more relevant, covering far more controversial topics that independent voices are covering in order to bring back viewership. We're not going to make these channels good or better or truthful or transparent. Instead, we're just going to force people to watch it. We're just going to go ahead and force people to consume this propaganda, this misinformation, ironically. Ministerial forward. Like many of us, evenings in my home growing up were often spent gathered around the living room TV set. Oh, fuck's sake. Whether that was...
Well, I think we've covered the main points, so I'm going to end this here. UK is trying to alter YouTube's algorithm and force BBC on your recommendeds. And basically flood you with misinformation. If that does happen, download a Chrome extension to block UK official channels like BBC, and then you're all set. You won't have them in your recommended. I can't remember the last time I watched a BBC video on YouTube. I'm proud of it. Anyway, this will be on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Come watch on Kick or Twitch, and I'll see you next video. Bye.